All right. I'm ready to talk about one of the more famous things from Chrono Trigger, which is the music. Chrono Trigger was scored primarily by Yasunori Mitsuda, with contributions from veteran Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu. How'd I do on that one? Uematsu. Uematsu. Okay. And one track composed by Noriko Matsueda. How'd I do on that one? All right.
Just
Yeah.
I don't want to insult people.
My ears!
A sound programmer at the time, Mitsuda was unhappy with his pay and threatened to leave Square if he could not compose music. Hironobu Sakaguchi suggested he score Chrono Trigger, remarking, "Maybe your salary will go up." I love that.
Maybe fired.
Cross your fingers.
Mitsuda composed new music and drew on a personal collection of pieces composed over the previous 2 years. He reflected, "I wanted to create music that wouldn't fit into any established genre, music of an imaginary world. The game's director, Masato Kato, was my close friend, and so I'd always talk with him about the setting and the scene before going into writing. He slept in his studio several nights and attributed certain pieces, such as the game's ending theme, to faraway times, to inspiring dreams. He later attributed this song to an idea he was developing before Chrono Trigger, reflecting that the tune was made in dedication to a certain person with whom he wanted to share a generation." I guess love? Is that what he's doing? He also tried to use leitmotifs? Am I saying that right?
Elite hacks or motifs, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Whatever Kev just said. As the Chrono Trigger main theme to create a sense of consistency in the soundtrack. He wrote each tune to be around 2 minutes long before repeating, unusual for Square's games at the time. He suffered a hard drive crash that lost about 40 in-progress tracks. After Mitsuda contracted stomach ulcers, Uematsu joined the project to compose 10 pieces and finish the score. Mitsuda returned to watch the ending with the staff before the game's release, crying upon seeing the finish scene. Wow. So that I'll stop there. That's the story of the music behind Chrono Trigger. I'll let you guys take it away. What do you guys think of Chrono Trigger's soundtrack?
That's a little bit too real of a story, by the way.
Sorry to bring you guys down.
God damn. After those stomach ulcers, the real Lavos.
Why was he crying? Are these tears of joy or tears of sadness?
I'm assuming. But at the same time, like going back to what I was saying about it being on a different, sort of format, I think it's important that the game was made for what it is because we have good music like this. Regardless of people's, I guess, taste in preferring music of this generation, or if they prefer music further back or further ahead when it comes to their game music, like there's a couple certified bangers, all right, in this, and I'm not going to deny it. And I feel that if anyone says like Chrono Trigger is just has horrible music, I'm like, dude, you ain't paying attention. You're ignorant. You just don't realize it. There's a track in here for everyone. Is really my point, and you're gonna find it one way or another. And I think that's so rare nowadays. Usually, you get one or two good tracks, or even with a lot of gaming that we have now, you don't even pay attention to it because nothing reaches out to you. There's a reason why Nobuo Uematsu has the background that he does, or the pedigree that he does, or just the reputation in general, is because people know when he's doing music. And I think that's sort of a lost art now. So it's unfortunate.
I also think the music is really iconic and that there are a lot of certified bangers. I would like to play devil's advocate a little bit in the sense of maybe the desire to create a track for everybody leads to an end product where maybe they're trying to appeal to too many people at once. For instance, in one of the songs I don't particularly like is like some of these lullaby style things, like in the intro sequence. Dun, 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 dun. I can't imitate it very well, but I almost feel like those kind of disrupt the mood, and also the application of some of these tracks. Like they play that ominous, spooky theme at some times where it's not always the most ominous thing going on. They use it well sometimes, they don't other times. You know what song I'm talking about?
There's a bunch of lullabies like that where I'm just like, SNES music.
I actually love that
nothing does
song.
it. All right then.
Puts it on at 9 p.m. before he goes to
Yeah,
bed.
I get him my blanket.
Oh, let me just snuggle my Chrono doll.
Yeah.
The lights off and everything. Good night. Oh man. What was the track that you were talking about? The creepy track, just so I'm aware. You talking about every time you try and open a chest?
Travel part in the beginning where Luca sets it up, and then Marl suddenly jumps in, and then she teleports back.
Mm-hmm.
They play like that, like something bad is about to happen music. I don't know the name of it. I couldn't tell you.
I mean,
but I just think that it is super varied, which is good, but it also leads to maybe consistency issues throughout the game that that I found a little jarring. And again, it's nitpicking. It's not the end of the world, but it is the end of the world.
I too would challenge you, JD, for a separate reason. You said that they were the songs are iconic, certain ones, and I agree.
I didn't say they were iconic.
Frogs. Oh, okay. Well, Frogs to me is pretty iconic, and they used that in like an E3. which actually made me mad, but they used it in E3 to say like Square Enix's thing is coming up, and they played Frog's music, and I was like, oh, they're gonna do something with Chrono Trigger, and it turns out they didn't, but they knew that song would get people. So there's certain songs I really really like, but I also think about Chrono Cross and how I know we said we wouldn't talk much about it, but goddamn, that soundtrack is incredible, and it's like I appreciate that we have a really really I think really, really good soundtrack in Chrono Trigger, but it's all the Super Nintendo style MIDI soundtrack. If that were orchestrated or had the ability to be orchestrated or they had those tools at their disposal, part of me is like, they could have come up with, another Chrono Cross soundtrack, which to me would have been a net positive over this. But I get it. I mean, for a Super Nintendo soundtrack, I don't know if you can do any better. I don't know if there's a better soundtrack out there on that console, but part of me wishes that it was orchestrated.
Well, at that point we get too much into the what if kind of thing about it. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel I feel, much to my point earlier, is that they knew the material, they knew the limitations of what they were sort of working with, and they created something that was still good. Chrono Cross, moving into that range, knows what they're working with from the music standpoint, and is aware of the tools that they have to obviously create more certified bangers. So it's just really like you stay within your skill set and you make the best possible product from what you have. If they were going to say that the sort of disc format, I don't know if we would have gotten the same sort of like classic themes this time around. Maybe we would have, right? It's huge what if, but you're using different tools at that point,
You could also say the Chrono Trigger OST is the foundation for the Chrono Cross OST. But I mean, to that point, finishing Chrono Trigger and then being familiar with the soundtrack and then going 1 hour, 2 hours into Chrono Cross, I was pleasantly surprised with some of the tributes. Kev, what's your thoughts on the score for Chrono Trigger?
Best one. So I would probably say that or Final Fantasy VI is the best soundtrack on Super Nintendo. Maybe up there with Super Metroid, but that's like very specific. Chrono Trigger, every song is a banger on that. I do wish when I played the PS1 version, it was like they did do an orchestrated thing because you have that CD quality like music now. But in a weird way, like once music started becoming more orchestrated, it kind of lost its identity to me. And now it, like we said before, it kind of just sounds like music. But when you hear those MIDI files, you're like, I know what this is. Like, I know what game this is from. Like, PS2 on, you show me a song from a game, I'd be like, oh, I don't know what this is. So they use the Super Nintendo to its maximum potential, I'd say.
That's a really good point. Is that the MIDI style? I mean, there's a whole retro community that's just obsessed with that kind of music, and I guess it lives with that. It lives in that realm of popularity.
Yeah.
Before we move topics, I just want to give you guys a quick listen shout out. If you get like an hour or two, I would check out this fan project, Time and Space, a tribute to Yasunori Mitsuda. It's solely Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross fan tracks, and it does have that kind of, I guess, more orchestrated sound. So it's worth a listen on
Can
YouTube.
confirm. I heard one of the tracks earlier. As JD would say, it was a banger.
As everyone except for you is saying.
A banger compilation.
It's a banger.